I'm Carrie Bourne. I'm from the Office of Continuing Education at UW-Whitewater. We're hosting the Fairhaven Lecture Series this spring, as we always do, and we're talking about the Wisconsin idea, and we've brought to you several projects and several research programs that our faculty are involved in, and I think you'll find today's presentation fascinating just to see how far our reach is globally. Today we have Dr. Paul Ambrose. He's an Associate Dean and Professor at the UW-Whitewater College of Business and Economics, an award-winning AACSB accredited business school. With a PhD in business administration, Paul provides strategy and vision for the graduate programs, including the fully online MBA program. Paul and his wife Grace, who holds a PhD in marketing, founded Akantha.com in 2014 to equip, empower, and elevate the marginalized both locally and globally. The seeds for Akantha were planted during their trips to underprivileged parts of the world. Please welcome Dr. Paul Ambrose.
Thank you, Carrie. Yeah. Thank you for having me here and letting me share our story of Akantha.com. It's always a privilege to talk about what we do. And sometimes there's a lot of things that go on when we do such activities. And I'll try to keep it in 30 minutes or so, and I'll try to be mindful of the time. Otherwise, I can tend to get carried away when you're passionate about something. So keep an eye on that. In short, Akantha.com, or Akantha as we call, is a social entrepreneurship firm. It's a social entrepreneurship startup, which basically means that we sort of marry two things together. The values of entrepreneurship with the passion to make the world a better place. So that's what a social entrepreneurship is all about, and that's what Akantha is all about. So our startup is to try to work with marginalized people across the world. They can be globally or locally, but as long as they need a hand up to make sure they can come up in the society, and we'll try to go and help them. The way I'll do my presentation today, I'll talk a little bit about how I got started, how we got started, my wife and I got started. It is something that we all have this thing that we need to do something to make the world a better place. We all have in various degrees. But there is a point in time that it becomes into something, hey, I've got to do something about it. I had that moment in 2009. I'll talk a little bit about it. And I'll also talk a little bit about why we even need to do good and what good can achieve. Because sometimes it's very loose to say I want to do good, but if you don't understand why we are doing it, then we really don't have something to stand on to talk to people. When you're passionate about saying that some of the challenges, why do you do it? Because there'll be always some naysayers. I mean, if you do it globally, they'll say, why aren't you doing it locally? If you do it locally, people may come and say, why are you not doing it globally? So we need to have some kind of a stage to sort of stand and say that this is my passion, and this is what makes me tick, and I'll share that. And then I'll get into Akantha.com. A little bit on how I got started. It was in 2009, and I grew up in India. Till my about early 20s, I was in India. Then I have worked in 3 different countries. I worked a little bit in India. I ran my own business in Hong Kong. Then I moved to academia in 1996. I came to the US, went through the PhD route, and then went into as a college professor. Even having grown up in India, I really didn't quite understand what poverty actually means. You hear about poverty. You hear about people who are underprivileged. But in 2009, I had the opportunity to take some friends from the Milwaukee area. We went to Mumbai, India. Mumbai was formerly known as Bombay. We went there, and my sister-in-law, my wife's sister, and her husband are part of an NGO, non-governmental organization, which works with the underprivileged, the urban poor in Mumbai. Mumbai is a city of 18 million. 60% of them are in poverty, and a very fraction are extremely wealthy. But the poor are really poor. I mean, Asia's largest slum is in Mumbai. So in 2009 was my first ever opportunity to actually set foot in a slum. I grew up in India, I never entered a slum. You hear about slums, what happens? So, and there you go into the slum and you see women who are trafficked, and rescued and sort of kept in safe houses. Kids who are living on the streets. In fact, when you work with kids, they say beyond the age of 5, it's very difficult to change the behavior of a kid. If you want to rescue them, you got to rescue them before they hit the age of 5. So I got to see things there. The NGO that we are partnering with was working with those kids, actually going and rescuing some of those kids off the street or women off from their pimps and all of that. You saw that, and you came back changed a little bit more. I said that I felt that maybe I won the lottery, that I have a life that is basically very comfortable, and the kind of things these women or the kids go through is it's hard. But also it was in 2009, I come back, and almost immediately, I was in India June, July. August, I attend a Global Leadership Summit. This is a global thing run every year by out of the church in Chicago, Willow Creek. Bill Hybels runs this thing, and he gets powerful speakers. And that year was Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of UK, was a speaker. Tony Dungy, NFL coach, was a speaker. So was Blake Mycoskie. And it's a global leadership conference. I attended it through a satellite campus out in Brookfield, so we watched the live stream. Then I heard of all the speakers. I mean, they're all powerful speakers on leadership and how we can lead to make the world better. Blake Mycoskie of Tom's Shoes stood out in what I heard that day, actually a couple of days. So if you're familiar of, Blake started this company called Tom's Shoes, where you buy a shoe, they donate a shoe to a pair of shoes to a person who cannot afford shoe anywhere in the country. And basically there are people who cannot afford shoes, and they have this horrible foot diseases which can be easily prevented by just wearing a pair of shoes. And Blake started this company called Tom's Shoes. And what he shared that day was very powerful. There are 2-3 things that stands out from what he said. The first thing he said was, if you look at philanthropists, Vanderbilts of the world and all of these folks, they gave a lot of money, but they gave the money when they retired. So when they retired, they set up these foundations and they gave a lot of money away and helped things. But Blake is one of the younger generation, new folks. He says, I want to help as I go by. Today, he was about 30 years old at the time when he started Tom's, he was even a little bit younger. He says, I should be in a position to give as I go, rather than wait till I accumulate wealth and give it when I retire. So I thought that was powerful. I said, okay, I want to do good, but I thought I'll have time when I retire, I'll have money when I retire, I'll do something. But here's a young guy who says, I'll do as I go. A couple of things, another powerful thing that actually came out of his speech was, he says, whatever you do, be prepared for naysayers, people who think that what you're doing is all bad or it's not good. The example that he gave was Blake is one of those young guys who did a startup, made a lot of money in his early 20s through a software company. He sold the company, made some money, and what he did was he used that money to start up Tom's Shoes. And the way he started up Tom's Shoes was Blake was also part of this CBS program called Amazing Race, where he was in Argentina, South America, and there he firsthand saw people without shoes having those diseases. So what he did was he came back and said, I want to do something to better. So I'm going to start up a shoe company. For every pair somebody buys, we'll donate. And these shoes are not cheap. I mean, sometimes you look at them, $60. I'd rather go to Walmart and buy my pair of shoes. But he was selling these shoes, and he says, every pair you buy, I will give one away. And he was criticized for that. He says that you're being very business-oriented. Why are you trying to make a profit? You made this money earlier. You have a few $1 million. Why didn't you just give it away? You could have given it to United Way or something and made the world a better place. But his reply was, if I had given away the couple of $1 million I made, that's all I could have given. But I used that couple of $1 million, started a new company, And then I'm in a position to give millions and millions more because of my new company. And that was what his reply was. But again, he says that I'm not bothered about people who come and tell me that I did something bad. It is their opinion. That is fine. I'll present my case. And I'm happy because I'm able to do a lot more. It would have been easy to give that money and move away, but I've invested in the company. And he says you can run a good social entrepreneurship firm by making profits. And profits are not necessarily bad. As long as you have the right motives and right values, you can channelize those profits to do good things. And that was what Blake's thing, and that stuck with me too. He says that, okay, that is something that resonates with me. And I was also struck by the fact that he didn't wait for a group of people to help him or the government to come by and do that. He did it on his own. It was all his passion. Of course, he was entrepreneurial in nature. So I thought, if he could do something like that, why can't I? And till then, my thing was, if you want to do good, you have to have some hard skills. I should be able to build a home, work for Habitat for Humanity. What can I do with my business background? All I can do is I can come with a marketing strategy, business strategy, understand accounts. How is that going to help people? I don't know how to build a home. I don't know carpentry from plumbing, from electrician. But then I realized I can actually leverage my business skills to make the world better. So every one of us has got some kind of a talent or some kind of a skill that we can use to contribute. And I said, okay, I don't feel that bad anymore. Let me leverage my business background to do something different. And that was some of the seeds for how Akantha got started. So then my wife is also, she works in UW Milwaukee. She's a marketing professor. My background is my undergraduate was engineering, but I moved straight to business after that. I did my MBA, did marketing, but my PhD was in business, but I focused more on IT side of things. So between the two of us, between the marketing and the business and the technology background, we started this company called Akantha.com, which I'll talk a little bit shortly. But that was my milestone kind of a moment saying that, hey, there is something that I can also contribute. I don't have to exceptional skills or a lot of money, but with what I have, I can give back. And that was where I started. When I got started, I also had to be very much what you call, why am I doing what I'm doing? If I believe that somebody who's marginalized deserves a better life, I need to be able to tell the naysayers, this is why they could disagree with me. That is fine. That is a good conversation. But at least I should be clear, what should I do? So I read a lot, though I come from business background, and something that really I got involved a little bit more reading was philosophy. When you read philosophy, especially when you go back to, say, 2,500 years ago, the Stoics didn't think that everyone was equal. Their philosophy was, we all have different things to play in the world. So you could be a slave, you could be a master, you could be marginalized, you could be rich. We all have a place in the world. Together we'll make the world better, so we should not go mess around with the poor or the marginalized. That was the Stoic philosophy. And sometimes some of us may tend to think like that, but this was way back in 6th century BC. That's where the modern philosophy got started. But this was being challenged periodically by different people groups. Like one of the first folks to challenge that Stoic philosophy were the 1st century Judeo-Christian movement. They came and said that everyone is equal. All men are created equal. Then if you fast forward and go to around 1215, when Magna Carta was signed, when all the barons went ahead and revolted against King John, they're basically saying that we are all equal. And the Magna Carta is a great document which tried to saying that we are all equal, we deserve to have equal life. And even again, there's a quote from Magna Carta which basically says we have this rights as a creator has given us, saying that we have to live equal. But then, even if you fast forward and come as early as the Declaration of Independence, the Declaration of Independence is very clear about our inalienable rights. Basically, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. When we say life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for everyone, I need to make sure, if I believe in it, and I do believe in it, I have to live by it. I got to say that if I'm blessed, I need to help people to be good, experience that. And what I can do in my own power, I'll go help to do. And that's what sort of takes me saying that if I believe in our Declaration of Independence, if I want to live by that, I need to work for life, liberty, and pursuit for happiness for everybody. And that's something that I always tell. And they can be here, they can be anywhere. We're all human beings, and I will work hard to do that. So again, the idea there was I needed a framework to say why I'm doing good. And this is something that, based on my background and all of that, I sort of very firmly believe that I need to be doing something. Then comes the question of, if you want to do good, is doing good a drop in the ocean that we cannot make any difference? It's something hopeless? Because the world, when you look at, sometimes when you see some of the heart-wrenching stories about people who live, I mean, they could be refugees, they could be exploited women, they could be, and you say, what can I as an individual, what can Paul as an individual make a difference? Actually, we can. The way I look at this is, this is a statistic which when I first read, it was sort of mind-blowing, and some of you might have come across this statistic. Like, for example, let's take this scenario. If a major airline crashes today, and say 210 people die, the news media will be all over the place. They'll be talking about what went wrong. They'll be interviewing families. If it happened in the US, the FAA will get involved. They'll try to dissect and see what can we do to prevent it. And that's definitely going to happen if there's a single airline crash today. But let's look at the situation. What if there was a crash every single day, 365 days of the year? Would the media be quiet? Will the government be quiet? Would we be quiet? No, we would be demanding explanation. We'll need that to be stamped out. Why is a plane crashing every single day? That is too dangerous. Let's look at another situation. What if 100 airlines crashed a single day? I think the media will go berserk, saying that what is happening? What can we do? Just imagine this. If 100 aircraft crashes every single day, and killing every day, 21,000 people are dying from air crashes alone, and it's happening every day, I don't think we all will be quiet. I think every government in the world will be stepping in and doing something. We as citizens will be demanding for something to be done. The media will be all over the place demanding something to be fixed. But if you take the same number, today we have 21,000 kids dying every single day from causes that are preventable. Like, as we talked about, every 4 seconds a kid dies. Kid dies from poverty, malnutrition, preventable diseases, and these can be very easily fixed if we got together and did something about it. So if 21,000 kids die every day and these could be prevented, we could do something about it. But we don't hear about that every day in the media. We don't hear as much as what an airplane crash would have done, but this is something that can be done to address. So that is a statistic. When I first came across, it was sort of mind-boggling, saying that why are we keeping quiet about it, and what can we do? If I can, out of the 21,000 kids, if in a year, if we can or I can do 1, 2 kids, that's good, but if everyone can do their own part, we can try to reduce the number. While these numbers look startling, actually, if you look at the next slide, which I'll bring up, and I'll also talk about the 3 billion people, that's almost half the world's population, lives on $2.50 a day. That's their income. And they live on $2.5 a day, and that is the income. And sometimes it's a daily wage. And if it rains or if it's bad weather, if you don't make that, you think that the family doesn't have. I've been in slums where I've seen a 5-year, our NGO runs pre-primary schools where I've seen a 5-year-old bring the 1-year-old kid bringing the kid, but we give an afternoon lunch, part of it. The kid, I saw the 5-year-old kid eat a little bit of the lunch, then this was in India, take the remaining to share with her parents. Because that was something that a 5-year-old thought, okay, my parents haven't eaten, so I got to take my food back. So that comes to the parents who are living on 50 rupees a day. At that time, it was $1 a day, that income for that family. But again, the 3 billion who live less than $2.5 a day. But then what is promising, what is actually sort of refreshing to look at is, if you look at least in the US, of all the charitable giving, we give about $373 billion a year for charity. If you look at, and this could be across the board from United Way to something small in your local community, if you look at the statistics, 71% of that money is given by people like us. Individuals like us are the ones who are giving. And if you look at it, only 5% of that charitable giving is given by corporations, meaning businesses, big businesses, are only giving 5% of the money, but 71% is done by people like us. Then actually, if we take the remaining 2 in the middle, they are some of the wealthier among us who are doing through their foundations or part of the will. They settle, again, they are individuals. So basically, it says that we can rely on corporations, we can rely on big businesses, we can do what we can. Let it be $5, let it be $1 million, but I think the power rests with each one of us. And that's something that also opened my eyes in the sense that I'll be able to do something, so can all of us. Because the power, again, this is these raw numbers which talks about the power is with us. So that is actually nice in the sense that we still as individuals can help a lot more. So sort of that was a little bit on my, what you call a preamble to how I sort of got so passionate about trying to help in whatever ways I can. From there, what we did was my wife and I, so in 2009, we had this saying, okay, we have to do this. We have to go ahead and help in our own way using our skills. We started this Akantha.com. Officially, the company was launched fall of 2014. But we've been thinking, working on it, trying to do partnerships for a while, and we started in 2014. The word Akantha is from Sanskrit. Sanskrit is an Indo-Aryan language which is in India. And Hindi will be the modern, it's a Latin. Sanskrit is dead. It's a Latin in that part of the world. So in Sanskrit, Akantha means beautiful. Just like most languages, like English is a very poor language to translate things, but Akantha, the word beautiful means it doesn't talk about external beauty, it talks about internal beauty. Our idea here is Akantha, we want to sort of bring out the internal beauty in people. And that's what Akantha. And this sort of inspiration for the name came was, there was this woman who was rescued from trafficking. She was trafficked as a teenager. Especially trafficked women age out at the age of 25. They're considered to be too old. One of the ways that these women do is they become pimps themselves. So sort of to prevent that, we try to go and sort of rescue women around that age. So this was one of those women who we rescued. And she was in a safe house, hid for a year, and then she went into a beauty training school. And she became a hairdresser and like a little beauty shop. And she says, when I'm working on people to work on the outer beauty, I'm going to talk to them so that their inner beauty grows. So that's something which you learn from a former sex worker. We call them CSWs, commercial sex worker, actually telling that. From there, we searched and said, okay, let's go with the name Akantha. So we start the social entrepreneurship Akantha, which basically what it is a minimum profit firm. We didn't want to start it as a nonprofit. If you start it as a nonprofit, you can go through the 503B, you can get all the tax benefits, but we wanted to run it like a business. We want to run it like a business, but at the same time, we didn't want to run it like a business that makes money. My wife and I have enough money to take care of ourselves, our family, but we didn't want to profits from this business make us rich, but we want to generate profits so that we can plow back into the business and do more. So like the Tom shoes, he wanted to put it back, so we wanted to use this. So we wanted to do a minimal profit. The whole idea is a business is not about charitable stuff, but we need to pass on that information to the skill set to the people we are trying to help. So the whole idea is we don't want to be dependent on others. We want to be a business ourselves. So we started as a minimum profit social entrepreneurship firm that basically our goal is to equip, empower, and elevate people in marginal societies around the world, locally and globally. So that's our vision. Typically, every society has got marginalized people in the society, and a lot of them are women and kids. So we are sort of drawn to more helping women in societies, and sometimes if you go help women, we help the family. We actually help fix the family. The women is the woman of the household is sort of the anchor to make things happen. So that's our vision, and that is very much part of what the Wisconsin idea is all about, too. Wisconsin idea is about how can we leverage the research, the knowledge that exists in universities to help the communities. But also part of the Wisconsin idea is it is just not universities pushing their knowledge to the communities, but universities working with the communities to try to leverage the knowledge, the skills that exist in the communities. That is part of the Wisconsin idea. So Wisconsin idea is just not push like one way from the university to the communities, but work with the communities, try to understand the knowledge, the skills, the power that resides in the community, and then use research and university expertise to make that community better. And that's what our Akantha's philosophy is also. We recognize that the inherent skills and the assets that can help a community actually lies within that community. So we are not going to go in the community and say that you do it this particular way, or you go and pick up this particular trade and you'll be better. We go and try to see what are the skill sets in that community, what are the inherent assets and strengths of the community, and try to work with that and then try to elevate that skill to be something like can generate revenue and help them to be self-sufficient. So that's our idea. That's also part of the second aspect of the Wisconsin idea. The way we do that is, what we do is when we look at communities, we work with local partners in that community, and we see what is the inherent skill out there. What are the people known for? Are they known for weaving? Are they known for baking? Are they known for some kind of handiwork? Are they known for building? And then we go and tell them and help them to fine-tune that skill. And maybe in some societies that basic skill itself is not there. Then we try to understand the situation and introduce them a new skill. For example, for the commercial sex workers in India, they are illiterate. So we try to get them into baking, that kind of training, which they had no idea. But our bigger work is among Hmong in China. They have some inherent skills. So I'll talk about the Hmong's work shortly. We actually went and understood what they do and then tried to make that skill even better and sort of help them to make a living out of the skill. So that's what we do. We go and find out what that is, equip that skill, then empower the skill by trying to see whether a value can be created, a commercial value can be created out of the skill. But we don't stop there. Ultimately, if we want to elevate, they should be able to make money and self-sufficient and take care of the families. So we just don't give the skill and say, this is what you can do to make yourself better. The products they make, we try to create a market for them. In fact, Akantha is the North American marketing infrastructure for people who are making products across the world. So we help do the marketing side of things. If you go to Akantha.com, we have the products there people buy, which a person sitting in a rural community may not be able to do it on their own. If we do all these three together, we feel that we can actually help that particular group come out of their marginalized existence. Our biggest partner right now and our work is with Hmong in Asia. A lot of us know about Hmong because Hmong, Vietnam War, they helped us a lot. They worked along with the CIA, and the US has done to help the Hmong back. Half the Hmong live actually in the southwest part of China, and the remaining half are spread around the world, but they're also in northern Vietnam and northern Laos. So their country is actually northern Vietnam, northern Laos, and southwest China. Basically, they have been pushed in the mountains of that area over centuries. They're marginalized and pushed, and that's what they call a home. our biggest partner and the products that Akantha currently sells works with our business partners, Bao and Sue. Sue is the guy behind, and Bao is his wife. Both are ethnic Hmong. Came to the US as children. They fled Vietnam when Vietnam fell. Bao had it easy, she says. She says when Vietnam fell, her uncle, dad's brother, was a general, was working with the CIA, and you knew Vietnam, they got a thing that Vietnam was falling, and they knew an US military transport was going to come, and then the first people to be killed were those who were associated with the military. So what they did is her uncle got the thing, and so they knew when the plane was going to come, so they grabbed the family, their extended family, and jumped into the plane. All Bao remembers was the plane lands, and some of you might have been in service, you may know something more than what I'm describing. Plane lands, the back door opens, people just rush in, but her uncle, being the general, take Bao, and Bao was a toddler, hanging onto her dad's arm. Dad was carrying it, her brother, the family go. All she remembers is falling into the plane and people falling on top of her, and the plane took off, and they landed in Thailand. They were in a refugee camp for about 9 months to a year, and they were sponsored by American GI, brought them to Wisconsin. They were in Madison area, and then she settled in Sheboygan, and that's where she grew. Sue, she thinks her story is very rosy. She managed to get... Her husband didn't have that easier exit out of Laos. So when Vietnam fell, his dad put the three brothers, he was the youngest, he estimates his age to be between 4 to 6 at that time, and his two older brothers have put one of those rubber inflatable tubes or something. The dad put them on the thing and pushed them across the Mekong River and said that, you go, I'll join you. The dad never did. The dad died. Someone said they found his remains later. As they were crossing, one of the brothers fell into the Mekong River and drowned and died in front of this 4 to 6-year-old kid. And the two of them make. And then Sue says he was 4 to 6 years. That's what they estimate. He sort of said he prayed. He says, if I get out of this mess, I will go back to my country some point in time and help the people there. That was his thing. I can't imagine a 4 to 6-year-old thinking about that, but he remembers that. But they come here, they both settle in the US, they get great education, they get a business degree, get married, they meet and get married, and they were working in the financial sector out in Kansas. And suddenly it hits Sue, the husband. What did I do? I'm living the American dream. I'm living the American life, but I should go back and do something. And this is what I promised years and years ago when I was crossing the river. And what they both did, they quit their jobs, moved to southwest Kunming, China, learned Mandarin, learned the language for 2 years, and then started reaching out to Hmong in the villages. And Hmong being marginalized there, they knew their existence, but what she has heard is her parents who came along always knew the Hmong women were known for embroidery, cross-stitch. So, and they also knew it's sort of a dying art with the younger generation not knowing the skills and the intricate patterns. But it was always fascinating for Bao to see there is the skill. Hmong women are known for embroidery. There are two ways they do embroidery. One is when, as a group, they were marginalized, their language was destroyed. One of the ways they captured the language was in embroidery. So they wove the stories. Each village had their own stories put in embroidery, and that was sort of dying art. And then the more intricate a woman does embroidery, it tells her in-laws she's taking care of her family better. So this was a skill which they were doing as a hobby, as home. So a young mother will sit at home and weave this intricate baby carriage, but just to show the cross stitches, she takes care of the family. So Bhav's idea was, can I take this skill and help them make a living out of that? And that's what we do on Akantha.com. So what Bhav does is, she goes to the village and identifies designs and gives women work to do. But it's not simple work to do. Part of giving the work to do is we supply them with the material, with the embroidery thread and all the raw material, and we hold them to great standards. So in the process, what we also teach them is the concept of quality. You can't just do anything because you want to do. you take pride and do a great job. We teach them ethics in the sense that if there are 10 women doing, so in an inch, if you do 100 stitches, if one person is sort of trying to do 80 stitches, which is not, they're trying to take it easy, we tell them that is not right. So you're not only quality, you're trying to be unethical. We teach them the concept of ethics. So what we do is we go to the villages and go and have those intricate embroidery patterns made. It's all handmade. Today, a lot of it is machine-made, but all of this intricate handmade. And Bao visits the village. I've been to those villages, too. There are interesting stories visiting the village. I thought I won't even get back. We got caught in a landslide, and one side was 1,000-foot drop into the river, and it was an interesting experience. Goes into the village, buys those. We bring it back to Kunming. We actually, as a family, we actually brought from village, and they're in Kunming in the factory, helping make them into products. Because embroidery per se, we may have it, we may like it, but if you translate into a product, a bag, a handbag, or a backpack, or a table runner, pillow, they have more value. So we buy that and convert into products, and we sell them through Akantha. So when we go tell the story, like at least today's generation, what we are seeing is they just don't want to give $20 and move on. They want to give $20 and see something they can have, which they can talk about. So if they buy a bag or a doll from us, they're not only buying the product, but they go and talk to their friends, saying that this is what I've done. I'm carrying this bag, which was made by this woman in another part of the world who's marginalized, and this is how I help. It's sort of a reminder for them. And that's the way this generation seems to be talking to others. So we make a lot of products, and we do it. And we use a lot of business experience there. How do you do the logistics? How do we even buy? I mean, we're a minimal profit. We are not making a lot of money out of this. How can we save money? So what we do is, my wife and I, that's my wife there, we have a warehouse in Germantown, Wisconsin. And this idea was not given, we didn't come up with this idea. We were looking for a place where we can rent as a warehouse. Then somebody who comes to our church, they own a large business on job site trailers. So every construction, they have a job site trailer, Deco. He says, why don't you rent a job site trailer? All you need to find a place to put it. And we found a place where you can put the job site trailer and make that as a warehouse. So a job site trailer cost me just $220 a month, rather than taking a warehouse, which can cost me a lot more money. So we put that, this is our warehouse, where the products come from China, we store it here, and then we ship them as orders come. And that's how we do. And we have hired actually an office manager. So what part of that also, when we give employment here, we just don't want to arbitrarily hire people. We are trying to help if there are widows. So somebody, Joanne, she's not poor per se, but who's my office manager, but she is actually, she would no way she would say that she's marginalized or poor or anything like that. But again, it is like trying to help another lady here. And Joanne is our office manager. And she does it with pride, in the sense that I learned a lot more skills from Joanne than on being organized and other things. And we do that. We try to do that even back here, trying to help people through our business in terms of employment. So we do that, and we ship products all over. That's our warehouse, fancy looking. It's a job site trailer. And Bao, and one of the things, these are dolls. Sometimes people like to buy a doll, and they keep it on the shelf. It's saying that this is what I bought to support. And Bao designed this doll. There are 26 different Hmong groups in China, and each one is different. Each one wears their traditional dresses differently. And this is one such group, and we made 3 such, and we do that. So that's working with Hmong, and we bring the products here. We do online sales. We also do event-based sales. We were at Strawberry Fest in Cedarburg last summer. There's a landscaping company in Slinger area in Wisconsin. When they heard our story, they wanted to stock our products and sell in there. All of these don't sell a lot, but even if it sells a little bit, it all adds up. So we do event sales. We do in this landscaping company. It's basically a Wisconsin-based Steins kind of a Steins Gardens and Gifts. That's what Landscapes is. They do that. And occasionally they have event sales. We do that. So that's how we go ahead and try to help sell those products. So the products come from China and shipped here, and then we do. So the bottom line here is when we think about the way we do is, I always say, we can be Bill Gates on $20. We don't have to be Bill Gates and make millions and millions of dollars and give away. $20 can make a difference. $5 can make a difference. Or if you're able to start and support a small business like that, that can make a difference. So a quote here is, again, people around the world are not looking for handouts. They're looking for a hand up, actually. If we can go ahead and give them, in that particular point in time, they are not being able to survive, sustain. If we can give them a hand up, that gives a lot to help with the self-esteem, the pride, and the ability to stand on their own feet. That's all they all want. Every poor person we interact, they have pride in their family. They want to say, I want to be able to take care of the family. In a lot of these places we go, the most common problem with the men are drinking. They're alcoholic, they drink. But it is a symptom of an underlying problem. The underlying problem is they feel inadequate to take care of the family, and there are several men who get into the drinking. So all we try to do here is, let's help you. It's easy to continue to just give $20 and walk away, and forever they are receiving some kind of a handout. But a hand up can make these people live their full potential. They can go and live life the way we were all made out to be, and pursue the happiness the way we all can. And that is the whole idea about how we do things with Akantha. So that's our sort of thing. And again, we don't have to be Bill Gates. We can be us. And we're more than happy to answer any questions, thoughts, comments. And if it's a bad idea, tell me. I don't mind that. I mean, at least we learn from every interaction what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, how can we get better.
Questions? Questions? Everyone's just taking it in? Yeah.
I was just wondering, how would you suggest that someone retired or otherwise would get involved in their own maybe local area community, because some of this is a little far-reaching for us?
So it's a very good question. The way we have found people, even without my grace and my wife and my knowledge, they've been helping, like for our business, the way they've been helping us, they've come and quietly done packing, because products come from China in bulk. It has to be packed in more in the retail kind of a setting. They've been volunteering. They're not our employees, but they have been volunteering to help. Even as simple as volunteering time. When we did the Cedarburg Festival, there were people who, we created a rota of people. For every 2 hours, somebody came and stayed with us to help us sell. So it doesn't have to be financial. It can, whatever our gifts and strengths are at that particular point in time. So if you find somebody local, you want to be part of it, volunteering helps. A lot of businesses like us would love volunteers. The next step of that, of course, would be by buying, if this, like our business, actual product sales, help us support. So if it is within someone's means, they're more than welcome to buy products from anyone. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of other, what sometimes they're called fair trade, sometimes they're called other kind of businesses. Try to support them if it is possible. Again, it's all in a scale of doing things. It's never too late to do a business. I mean, if you can. It's all how, I mean, sometimes I wonder, what did I get myself into? It's a lot of responsibility. Sometimes you wonder, am I spending, there's those thoughts that come, but it is whatever you're comfortable. Could be as simple as volunteering, or sometimes driving a person to the place where they want to go and do that work. Any little thing helps. Yep.
Other questions? Do our students in the College of Business, are there classes, or, you know, in what way are faculty teaching this sort of thing to our students?
So in the College of Business, our theme, or one of the things is we want to highlight the fact business doing good. In fact, we had a college magazine that come an issue before the current one. Was the theme was business doing good, and it featured Akantha too. The idea again is how businesses can come and help, because there's unfortunately there is, and businesses also are guilty of that, where it's all about profits, not about people. So our focus in the College of Business at UW Whitewater is it is about people, how we can use business to help people, and at the same time, profits are not a bad word. I mean, we can make profits to help people. So in our college, we have different faculty involved in different ways. In fact, there is a student organization called Enactus. Enactus stands for Entrepreneurship, I forget, and Us. So this is a student organization which goes and does projects around the world, or involved with projects. So they do projects, most of them do projects within the US. So if they try to use their skills, what they learn in class. So it's a student organization which helps try to do whatever kinds of projects they can make to do help, like maybe it's drinking water. Can we go help this particular community in South America get better drinking water? So this is a nationwide student organization called Enactus, and the College of Business, we have a student chapter. So there's a student chapter with faculty advising. And as like any student organization, there are competitions. They go to competitions that try to showcase ideas. So that's another way to do. We have faculty, some I know, some we may not even hear because they're so silent about what they do. There is one faculty, Samir Prasad, in supply chain. He works with the rag pickers in India. And then he's using his supply chain business skills to see how we can help. So there are people who do things very directly, like what we're doing, and there are a lot behind the scenes helping or coming with ideas. Sometimes, even a small thing, if I have a business question, if I go ask a colleague in a different area, hey, I have this, how do I do this import-export? They help. So all of those are valuable. So there are many different ways college is engaged, faculty are engaged in doing things.
The types of things that are being done and learn the skills that are being used over there so that they can use their ingenuity in planning new projects for them to do?
Again, that's a great question in the sense the question was, are there student groups that are traveling abroad and going and seeing a particular community and coming to do what we do? We have not done that in a very strategic, intentional way. In fact, one of our goals is to do, we call them as not study abroad, travel studies. So for 2 weeks after the end of the semester, they do a lot of coursework here. They learn about the culture, community, what they can do. End of the semester, for 2 weeks, they travel into the country. All along, we have been doing business travels. We've been to China. Just this Wintrim student group came from Ghana. Of course, there when you see all the social projects. We like to do it a little bit more intentionally. Do a project which is basically social entrepreneurship based. Exactly like what you're saying, let's go and understand what can be done in the community, come back and give them a solution. That's something that we are trying to do. Based on faculty support and others, we should be able to do. As it's been ad hoc, but we want to do it intentionally. Yep. South America, let me see. There's one to Central America coming up next year to Costa Rica, but not South America, which I know at least from the business school. Yeah. So we've done, so South America is coming up, and we have done, just this Wintrim was Ghana. We have done a lot of China and a couple of trips, I believe, at least one for sure to India. And of course, the other parts of the campus have gone to different, they've gone to Africa. They've also gone, I believe they've gone to South America too. But from a business school, yep. It again comes down to, we can't do everything everywhere, and we have to leverage our faculty expertise. So if we have faculty who are passionate about South America and they have expertise, it'll be nice to tap into those skills. And do that. And we'll always continue. We encourage our faculty, and they come to us with ideas, and then we say, yep, we'll support you to do that. Yep.
So with that, I think we'll leave the questions, but if Dr. Ambrose is going to be around, if you'd like to ask him individual questions, and I hope you'll come back